You've been giving a lot of these interviews to international media lately. How many would you say you've done so far?
Oh, my staff counted, I suppose. Сколько мы дали интервью уже?
Около 120.
120 interviews so far.
That's quite a lot.
It is, but I have to, for more people in the world know about the situation in Belarus.
6 months ago, few people outside of Belarus had heard of Svetlana Tikhanovskaya. That changed after she challenged Alexander Lukashenko, known as Europe's last dictator, for the presidency.
For more than 10 years, I was staying at home with my children, so I think you can call me housewife, as people in Belarus call me.
Tikhanovskaya only began her campaign after her husband, popular YouTuber turned presidential candidate, Sergei Tikhanovsky, was arrested in May, disqualifying him just 10 weeks before the vote.
He was just a blogger who went around the country just asking usual people how they were living, what's their attitude towards authorities.
Люди, кого заставляют отдавать подписи, посмотрите на своих братьев-белорусов, которые пришли честно отдать свой голос. Посмотрите.
He wasn't a politician, but it's happened so that people asked him to run for presidency because he understood their problems and he knew how to improve Belarus for better, what should be done for people, not for authorities, but for usual people. But he was jailed.
Have you had much contact with him since you left Belarus? Do you know how he's managing?
I haven't seen him after he was jailed, and I haven't heard his voice, but we have contact through the lawyer. He feels rather well, as a person can feel himself in jail, but still he is really proud of Belarusian people. He's proud of me.
Running in place of her husband, Tikhanovskaya went on to gain mass public support. Her pledge, if elected, was to hold free and fair elections within 6 months.
Они говорят о какой-то революции. Боже мой, люди, какая революция? Мы хотим честных выборов. При чем здесь революция? Зачем вы провоцируете свой народ?
When the polls closed on August 9th, Lukashenko claimed 80% of the vote in an election widely regarded as fraudulent. At that point, Belarus broke into unprecedented mass protests, and Lukashenko responded with a violent crackdown. Fearing arrest, Tikhanovskaya left for neighboring Lithuania, which is opened a humanitarian corridor for political refugees from Belarus. How effective can you be as an opposition leader if you're not in Belarus?
If I were in Belarus, I would be in prison already, so I wouldn't be effective at all. Here, just being in Lithuania, I can do much more for Belarus because I have contacts with international leaders to tell why we are protesting, what changes we are looking for, so I can be vocal at least.
Belarusians are still protesting at home, but fearing imprisonment, hundreds have fled to Lithuania, where they continue to protest. Evgeny Zaichkin recently claimed asylum here, giving up his life in Minsk and leaving behind his 11-year-old son.
В принципе, мои знакомые, мы голосовали за Светлану Тихановскую. Она и победила, но то, что Лукашенко не уйдет с этого поста, тоже все знали, что просто так он, не отдаст.
Zaichkin first protested against Lukashenko in 2010. This year he was beaten, and photos of him lying unconscious on the ground went viral, turning him into a symbol of police brutality. Most who saw him thought he was dead. How does it feel for you when you look at this photograph now?
Просто даже страшно подумать, что видели мои друзья, близкие, родственники, когда видели эту фотографию. Я даже не представляю, что можно чувствовать, видя вот это вот. Мое тело, но я этого не помню, и кажется, что это кто-то другой.
Wary of Russia and its support of Lukashenko, Lithuania is keen to see change in Belarus. What are your thoughts on the man next door, President Lukashenko of Belarus?
He's not president, so first thought was coming to my mind. He's the former president, to say the least, and he was morally already not president. Unfortunately, he's still using this force against his own people. People still put in custody, intimidated, raped, tortured. I already said that even small amount of those accounts we're receiving is true. It's already too much. And those people must be kept accountable.
Lithuania has adopted one of the strongest lines against Belarus in the EU. But so far, Europe has failed to take action, despite harsh words from its leaders.
At this meeting, I asked just to be more brave in their decisions.
You said that you don't want the situation in Belarus to become a conflict between the EU and Russia. But here you are in the EU, meeting regularly with EU leaders, while Lukashenko has been in Moscow, becoming closer with President Putin. Isn't this polarization inevitable?
We don't want to be like between two fires. What we want is to elect a new president for ourselves. And only after new elections, people will choose whether they want to be closer to Russia, whether they want to be closer to European countries. Just give us right to choose our own way of development. So don't divide us.
Would you visit Moscow?
I would, for sure, for sure. Of course, we would like to have this dialogue.
What is your strategy going forward?
Our aim is new elections, and we have to go to this aim. And I know that Belarusian people will never be able to come back to that state that we lived in for 26 years. We are not slaves anymore in our minds. We will not be able to forget his violence and forgive these crimes to him. So we have changed forever, but I don't know how long it will take. I mean, our protests. Of course, it would be better for everything and for Belarus as a country, just for it to finish sooner.
But is that the strategy then, to continue the protests? That's it?
That's it. As simple as that, yeah.
Your husband obviously was the one who entered politics before you did.
Yeah, but you know, he entered politics maybe a year ago, and it was not a politics as you understand it. He was just a blogger who went around the country just asking usual people how they were living, what's their attitude towards authorities, what's their attitude towards salaries and the level of life in Belarus. But it's happened so that people asked him to run for presidency because he understood their problems, and he knew how to improve Belarus for better. What should be done for people, not for authorities, but for usual people.
Some of your colleagues, for example, Maria, we filmed with when we were in Belarus a few weeks ago. She's currently in prison, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She is, and it was her decision. Since from the beginning we understood that we are under pressure, that we will be jailed or maybe we will have to leave the country. I was forced to leave, but Maria decided to stay, and she has torn her passport just for the authorities KGB couldn't kick her out of the country. It was her decision, and it's a very brave decision.
You're known globally now as the leader of the Belarusian opposition. Do you think that title is accurate?
We are not opposition. We are the majority of Belarusian people. We are the majority who wants changes, who want to build new life or a new country for life without dictatorship. And it's up to people how to call me. If they think I am a leader of opposition, wonderful. If they think I am a national leader, super. If they think I am nationally elected president, okay. It doesn't matter how people call me. What matters is that I'm among people, that I'm with people, and we have the aim we have to reach.
Has there been any dialogue between you and Lukashenko's office since you were forced to flee Belarus?
It's a pity, but not. We really wanted this dialogue, and we see the dialogue as the only way out of the political crisis. But now we see that our authorities are not interested in this. They live with a dictator, and they are afraid of him even more than usual people. Now we are communicating to leaders of different countries, and we are asking them to be mediators in our case, because we see that our authorities are not interested in peaceful transition of power, that our aim is new elections, fair and transparent.
What support has the United States offered to you?
They They didn't recognize Lukashenko as elected president of our country, and it is very important because you are a great player in political world. People in the USA are vocal about our situation, and I understand that there are a lot of problems inside the USA and in the world, but still you pay attention to our problem, and we understand we have to solve it, but support is very important.
What do you want now from the European Union? What kind of support do you want from them?
What the most countries already did, but still there are countries who haven't joined to this decision to declare not to recognize Mr. Lukashenko as legal president. And secondly, to impose sanctions to the people who are involved in violence after the elections. To recognize coordination council, which I created in Minsk just to like a body for starting dialogue between authorities and people. Then not to help regime financially, because we know that all the money that other countries can give to our authorities, so they will be given to riot police, but not for people. But if for some reason demonstrations will fade out, they will stop talk, because there is no picture, no news. But I want to ask, if you're aware of our situation, please talk about us. It's very important.
Those are the things that you want, but not all the countries are doing that in the European Union. Are they being too soft on Lukashenko?
You know, I'm sure that the majority of the countries understand what's going on in Belarus, that he's the last dictator of Europe, and the countries who are not so brave, who are not pushy, if I can say so, of course they have reasons for that. But of course we would be more grateful if they would be more brave in their decisions.
What is your strategy going forward?
Our aim is new elections, and what path to choose depends on the situation, because the situation is changing every day, and a lot of people are jailed and tortured in the jails, and we have to be very cautious in our movements. And I know that Belarusian people will never be able to come back to that state that we lived in for 26 years. We are not slaves anymore in our minds. You know, we don't want to owe to this dictator, and we will not be able to forget his violence and forgive these crimes to him. So we have changed forever, but I don't know how long it will take.
But is that the strategy then, to continue the protests? That's it?
That's it. As simple as that, yeah.
Do you think they will work to force someone who's been in power for 26 years to allow for new elections?
Maybe we will get new plan in the future. We don't know really, just you have to understand there is no decision for this situation. We don't want any not peaceful decisions. We don't want any not peaceful outcome of the situation. First of all, we have to start dialogue just by our force, or with the help of Europe, or with the help of the USA, maybe. Just the beginning of dialogue is the beginning of changes.
When do you think you're going to return to Belarus?
I'm going back to Belarus as soon as I'm together with my children, will feel safe. It may happen when, for example, politician prisoners will be released, among which my husband will, I think, or when the dialogue between authorities and people starts.